Hello, this is Jill Priest at Papercraft Blessings, independent Stampin' Up demonstrator, and I'm here with day 2 of Crafty Christmas. So I hope you enjoyed day 1. We've got a slightly simpler one today, another Christmas card, but I'm using the lovely A Child is Born set. Now, when I first looked at this, I thought, ooh, because it looks as if you need a lot of colouring, but I've done a bit of a cheats way, so you don't need much colouring on this, which is really good. And then I've also used the ever wonderful Stylish Shapes dies, which are so useful. Okay, let's get going. Let's pop those over by there. Right, so the base of my card is shaded spruce, and this is a standard size card base, so 21 centimetres scored at 10.5 and 14.85 this way, so it's half of a sheet of A4, and we'll just fold it in half at the score. Oh, that's not very straight. Let's get that a bit straighter. There we go. Right, so there's our card base. And I have got a layer of the very beautiful Delicate Pines DSP. There are so many pretty, really delicate pine leaves with these gorgeous little cherry cobbler berries, all sorts of lovely green colours, and on this blue and this Secret Sea background, which is a not quite black, just edging into a really dark navy. Is so lovely. So yes, this is one of my favourites. As you can see, the back is very pretty as well, but sadly we can only use one side of a piece of designer series paper. So let's put some glue on here. Stick that on. So this is a relatively narrow border. It's just 5mm smaller than the card base. So this measures 10 centimetres by 14.35. Good. Now, I have chosen another 2 sets of papers from the same pack of designer series paper. You can see very similar to that one, but with a white background. But I'm going to use this side, which kind of looks like, you know, when you do watercolours, but you put bits of salt in it. So that's what I think this looks like. Yeah, it's gorgeous texture. Oops, there we go. And this one, which is little tiny snowflakes on shaded spruce. And again, the background's very pretty on that one, but one side only, folks. Right, what I'm going to do is tear the edge of the sheet so it exposes the white core. Just get it started. There we go. We only want to tear off a very tiny little piece. And we do that by holding the paper and pulling the edge towards you. So you get a lovely kind of bobbly white edge. I'm going to do that on both sides, both of the long sides of this piece of paper. So to start off with, before I started tearing it, this piece of paper was 10 centimetres by 7.5 centimetres. So we've still got our 10 centimetres. Get rid of the rubbish. 10 centimetres, it was 7.5, but of course a little bit less now I've removed the edge. I'm just going to remove that extra little lump there because that looks a bit weird. That's better. That was just where I tried to start it, wasn't it? There we go. Right. And this piece is currently 5 centimetres by 5 centimetres? Yes, 5 centimetres by 10 centimetres, that's right. And the same again, I'm just going to tear off the very edge to give us a nice white core. Showing there. So if you keep your thumb right at the edge of the paper here, it gives you quite a good control where the tear is going. So you don't go right into the middle of your piece of paper. Just pull that bit off. There we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just add those to the middle of the card across there. Good. And then this one. There we go. So that gives you quite a nice bit of texture on your edges there. Oh, let's put that by there so I don't lose it. And we'll just set the card base aside for now. Right, so the middle part, the kind of decorative feature of my card, I'm using some circles. So I've got one of the matching circles cut in the Delicate Pines Designer Series paper. This one is the largest of the stylish shaped circles. I've also cut a white one the same size. This is just basic white cardstock. And one of the next size down. Again, basic white cardstock. So what I need to do here, which I should have done before, is to mount my stamps. So as you can see, this image of Mary and Joseph and baby Jesus is a fairly sizable one. So will it fit? Just about fits on this block. This is an E block. Let's get that on there. Lovely jubbly. Okay, now I'm going to stamp it on this circle. So obviously I only need this area of the stamp. I don't want the whole thing. But I do need my Secret C, which I forgot to get out as well. There it is. I think Secret Sea is one of the current in colours, and it's such a lovely neutral that it goes beautifully with all kinds of other colours. So I'm just taking that and inking up the centre part that I want. Now, as you can see through the stamp, you can see exactly what you're stamping. And I do want my stamping mats, because I'll be going over the edge. I want to make sure that my mat is underneath so I don't get ink on the mat. Put my circle down here and line that up so that I get exactly the area of the stamp that I want coming out on the circle. Nice amount of pressure on there. There we go. Put that aside. Lovely. Oh, while we're at it, I will also stamp my sentiments. So let's see, what shall we have? How about "Oh Come Let Us Adore Him"? That's lovely. That one? Yes, there we go. Now, how is that on the wear? No, that's a bit too wide for that particular one I've got out, so I'm just going to go with the slightly narrower "Oh Holy Night." You could, of course, use the wider banner from the Stylish Shapes, but I've already cut this one, so never mind. So, tap, tap, tap in my secret seat. There we go. Now I want it towards this side, this end of the banner, with just a little gap. So let's go about there. That's it. That's good. Happy with that. And close up the ink pad, because I'm quite likely to get ink everywhere. Look at the side of my thumb. Right. Okay, let's go back to this circle here. So I'm going to use my blends to colour in my circle. Dark one first, and just do a little outline around the edge of the image. Okay, and then we need to do underneath Joseph's arm. Any other gaps? No, that's Mary's hair, so that's it. Might just make it slightly wider. So we get a little bit more depth in our shading in a minute. There we go. Right, so that's the dark cloud cover. Now the light cloud cover. And I'm basically going to fill in the rest of the background. So colour over what you've already done so that it blends. And fill in the whole area there. Just do a little bit of extra to get that blending going. Remember, the blends ink builds the more you colour it, so you get a darker tone when you add more. But you don't want to go too overboard because you just end up with a soggy mess. Okay, just blend away any of those areas where you can still see the lines. Put there. And that's already beginning to dry. Ooh, didn't want to go back on, did it? There we are. So put my pens aside. Okay, so the next bit is to assemble this piece here. You can see quite a lot of colouring on the back. That doesn't matter because that's going to be hidden. Not too much glue. And get that in the centre there. Lovely. So this white circle is going on the back, but before you do that, you need to add a little sticky out tab. So this piece, where's my book gone? I think it's just 1 centimetre by about 2.5. It doesn't particularly matter because the whole of this piece is going to be buried. You can use up any old scrap of little cardstock. I'll just check the size there. Yes, 1 centimetre by 2.5 centimetres. So I'm going to choose where the top of this image is. So I would say about there. So that's where I'm going to pop. Oop, not much glue there. That's where I'm going to pop this piece. So there we go. And then glue on the white piece. Because they're obviously the same size circle, they should fit nicely together, sandwiching that little tag piece in at the top. Okay. Good. So the next bit, I have cut a very small piece of shaded spruce cardstock. Now this one is... Now, where's the measurement for this one gone? Can't find it. Right, let's measure it. So it is 3 centimetres by 1.5. Yes, that's right. And then I've scored it in the middle at 1.5 so that it bends nicely into a little tab. Okay, what I need to do is get my little sharp scissors and just snip a very tiny bit in along that. That's it. In along that fold. Don't want to go too far, just a couple of millimetres. There. And then I want to take a nice piece of twine. So this is black and white and gold baker's twine. And I'm using the white and gold one. It's so pretty. I think this is part of the Modern Christmas suite. And what I'm going to do is just wrap it around there so it goes into those two little tiny cuts that I've just made. Well, hopefully it does. One. That one obviously isn't quite deep enough. Cut that a little bit more. There we go. That's it. There you go. So you can see it's sitting in those two little cuts. And I'm going to make this into a loop about yay big. So I'll just knot it there. We're not going to see the knot when we're finished. That will be hidden. So don't worry about that at the moment. Just make sure I get all the little threads in. It's all disintegrating on me. That's really disintegrating on me. There we go. Pull it nice and tight. It's a reef knot, so it won't come undone. That's it. And then we just want to snip off those ends quite close so that we can hide the whole knot. That's it. Put my twine away and my rubbish. Okay, so I'm just going to move it so that that knot goes underneath my fold and the loop hangs out the top. Okay, so just like that. Right, now we need to pop it on to this little tab here. So some glue on both sides because we want this nice and firm, and just edging onto the little circle there. And that slides on so that this little square shape we've created just touches the top edge of the bauble there. So we've kind of created a little bauble tag. Okay. Good. So that's going to decorate the front of the card. Let's bring the card back. I want to work out exactly how long to cut this. So I'm going to cut it about there, just trim off the end. There we go. So that's going to sit on like that. What I do want to do is just give it a little bit of colour on the edges there. Now, yesterday I used the ink pad to give the extra colour to my sentiment. This time I'm actually going to use blends. So here I have the shaded spruce blends. I think we'll go with the darker one. Use the brush tip again and just slide it along the edge here. Now the reason why I'm using blends instead of the ink pad this time, just make sure I get that little bit there, is because of this dinky bit here. Now you can't get your ink pad in there, but you can get your pen in there. There we go. and the end. There we go. So if I put that down on the grid, you can see our lovely green outline. Just gives it a little bit of definition. Okay. So our bauble shape will go on like that. And I'll pop that sentiment down there. Just need some dimensionals. Let's use the little ones. Where's the open pack? Here we are. Here we are. Good. There we go. Now, one of the reasons I've made this card with a plain white back like that is that you can take it off. So the glue dots that I've used are not mega tacky ones, and they're fairly big, so they will actually come off. Just roll it off there. There we go. And pop it on the back. I think you could do this with any glue dots if you just rub off a little bit of the tacky first. That means that when you stick it onto the card, it gives it a tiny bit of dimension, but it also means you can actually pull it off again. Then you could hang it on your tree if you want to. I'm just going to pop that back. There we go. Now this card obviously needs one final thing. We need some bling. Can't have a card, especially a Christmas card, without some bling. So I've got the another dimensional backing. Let's get rid of that. There we go. So I've got these dots, which I think originally came with the Cheers and Sips suite, but because of the colourway, they just seem to go with everything. So they're really good. They are called holographic resin dots. Where's my take your pick? Here we are. Right, so I'm going to pop some of these on. Glue dot on that one's a bit funny. There we go. Let's have a big one. Where should I put that? Put that up there. The little one by there. Boop. A little one. That end or that end? Or both ends? What do we think? Got a bit of excess glue around the edge of that one. I'm just going to discard that one a minute. Try another one. That's better. That's better. Same with that one there. That's annoying me. Sorry, I am a bit of a fussy oik when it comes to these things. There we go. So we've got our 5 little embellishments. And that's the finished card. I hope you like it. Here's one that I did in a different colourway. So you can see they look quite different when you use a lighter colourway. This one's got Old Olive as the base. Obviously you will need to put a white piece inside, and I would usually use a piece that is 9.5 centimetres by 13.85. That gives you plenty of white space to write on. Maybe a little strip of this, if you've got a spare smidgen of paper to add to it, that can look quite pretty. But yeah, that's probably how I would go. Brilliant. So I hope you like that. That was day 2 of Crafty Days of Christmas. Just move it down a bit. There we go. Hopefully I will see you tomorrow. Merry Christmas. Bye.